Hello everyone and welcome to the Transit Nomad family, working during travel, pros and cons of being a digital nomad. This is going to be the topic for our video today, and before we get started, I'd like to let you know that as an active traveler and business owner with experience, I might be able to assist you with trip planning, life coaching, and business consulting, with all the details available at buymeacoffee.com/transitnomad or through the link in the video description below. This is where you can also find lots of exclusive content on many different cities across the globe, my secret tips, PDF guides, and the option to request a custom video on any topic that matters to you. With that being said, let's begin discussing what we need to discuss today and what it's like working while traveling, as well as advantages and disadvantages of living as a digital nomad. Right now we are located in Sofia, which is the capital of Bulgaria, which is located in southeastern Europe. We are looking at one of the main buildings in the city center that was built by the communists, I believe in the 1950s. It's kind of a typical style architecture that you can find across many Eastern European cities. Of course, you can also find a lot of other kinds of architecture, including Baroque style, Gothic style, classical style, modern style, all kinds of styles, but you will also have some buildings like this to remind us that Eastern Europe used to be a part of the not Soviet Union, but it was heavily influenced by Soviet Union. Depending on which country, they had some kind of relationship with Soviet Union. Most of the time it was not by choice. So Bulgaria is one of those countries, and this is that area that represents that time in history. Now we're gonna take a walk and check out some of the other areas that are totally different from this, more like a party street, restaurant street, shopping street with all the nightlife going on. But let's begin also discussing what we need to discuss today. A little bit about me. I've been originally I'm from Kyiv, Ukraine. I moved to the United States when I was 18. I started my own business. I worked very hard trying to build it from scratch. It was very tough. And then I started another business, and by time things started picking up and I started making a good amount of money, and also traveling and exploring different kind of countries in Asia, Europe, and of course the United States itself. So I can say that I am a digital nomad. I'm living this kind of life. I've been doing it for many years now. Also filming content for travelers like myself, helping them out, because there were a lot of things that I was afraid of in the beginning. There were things that I was doubting. There was a lot of stuff that I didn't know. And when I started doing this, there was no AI, so it was a little bit more challenging to find information. And even now that we have AI and you can use it for research, which I highly recommend, you still have to double check and triple check all the information that is given to you, because AI tends to make a lot of mistakes, at least in 2025. So number one thing that I want to mention, if you want to travel, it's definitely a good thing, and if you travel longer for extended periods of time, it's also a very good thing, because you get to see a lot more. You get to experience the local culture in a totally different way. You can take more time to explore different places and visiting landmarks, and also getting to know some people, building friendships, relationships. It's definitely a lot better than just traveling somewhere for a few days. Nothing wrong with traveling for a few days, but long-term travel is better, and oftentimes it needs to be combined with working. And one of the most important things that I would like to recommend is to check how well organized you are in general, because it requires very high level of organization for two things. First thing is trip planning itself. It requires a lot of research when it comes to booking tickets, booking accommodations, researching where to go, what to do, and also avoiding bad experiences, which means You need to scan for reviews and know what's important to you, which area you need to stay at, what things are important to you in terms of how busy it is or how quiet it is, how clean it is, all of that stuff. And this takes time and it requires a lot of organization, especially if you're booking a lot of places for a lot of different cities at the same time. It's very important to be organized. And this also applies to your personal and your work life, meaning for your work, if you are traveling, it doesn't matter if you are tired or you are in a different time zone or your internet's not working, you still need to get your work done no matter what. And it is a little bit more challenging, especially if you end up in some party neighborhood and meeting new people, new friends, and going to the nightclub and staying up until 6 in the morning, or just exploring lots of museums during daytime and then going to the park with direct sunlight and then getting so tired from that sun that you come back home with a headache and you cannot work anymore. But in your home country or wherever you need to work, it's morning time and it's business hours and you need to start answering phone calls. So it's important to find that balance and plan your time accordingly so that you still have energy to do what you need to do for your business or your job without getting too tired when you're traveling, which means a lot of different things. It means you need to make sure you know what time you need to come back, what time you need to leave. If you know that sun is making you tired, you should learn how to avoid direct sunlight or too much of it. If there are other things that exhaust you, you need to learn about yourself and try to understand what you need to do for yourself, how you should prepare to make sure that you have enough energy, enough time to do what you need to do. And also you need to think ahead of time what it is that you would need to do at night or the next morning, and knowing what the deadline is for each specific project or each specific task that needs to be accomplished. Because if you don't know these things, especially if you don't plan it ahead of time, you might just get carried away having fun when you are traveling. I know a lot of people like that. Even myself, when I have a lot of plans already and I know exactly what I need to do, sometimes I have so much fun that I feel so tired and I have to force myself to do the work. But that is just part of traveling, and that is the price you have to pay if you are traveling long term while still working. We all have to work. Money doesn't grow on trees. We have to earn it, and it's just the part. Yes, hi. How are you?
How are you? Too high, okay?
Yeah. What's up?
Too high here.
Yeah. It's hot, very hot. Yeah. Yeah. So I was just saying that that is the price that we have to pay when we are traveling. I'm waiting for that tram to get going because I want to capture that. Let's see, is it waiting? Is it gonna get going? It is getting going. This is an older Tatra tram. That's why I came to Bulgaria to ride these old school trams. I love them. All right. So now we've reached this main evening entertainment area here in Sofia. Let's take a look at what it looks like and what it feels like hanging out in this neighborhood and continue our conversation. So I mentioned about being organized, and I already started talking about having a balance. And having a balance is very important for everything in life, not to get too extreme in this direction or that direction. Try to be in the middle. Sometimes you can go a little bit right, a little bit left, but don't go too far, because in the end, if you go too much to the right, in the end you're going to have to make a hard turn to the left, and it's going to cause stress, and stress usually results in bad consequences, whether it's just something minor like mood swings or lack of sleep and you're feeling grumpy, or it can lead to major depression, or it can lead to overconsumption of alcohol or shopping too much or gambling or other addictions. And what I found is that if you try to have balance, it's really one of the best things you can do as preventive care from developing those addictions or other behaviors that are not good for you, that are not healthy. So finding balance when traveling can be harder. That's why I also would suggest taking a little bit of extra time and researching when you are, for example, about to book a flight. What time is that flight departing and what time is it arriving and where is it arriving and how are you gonna get from the airport to the place that you're about to book for staying? Because sometimes, you know, these kind of things, like let's say your air flight arrives at midnight and then it's delayed by another hour and arrives at 1 a.m. and then the public transportation in that city no longer runs and you don't have the cash to pay for the taxi and they don't accept cards. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. Or you have to wait for some kind of bus and then transfer to another bus and it takes you like 3 hours to get to where you're staying and it's 5 a.m. already and you need to get up and do something the next day, maybe something work related, and you cannot get any sleep and then you go out of your balance and also you cannot enjoy the trip because if you don't get enough sleep you feel like a piece of vegetable. You're not feeling up for anything. So it's important to allow yourself enough time to rest, allow yourself enough time to commute, to get to where you need to go and book everything in a convenient location or knowing that you have enough time to get there comfortably without causing too much stress, so that you can also do your work and also enjoy the trip and do sightseeing, whatever it is you'd like to do. Finding balance is the key. So is it generally worth it traveling like this? I think it certainly is, because each country is different, each city is different, and everywhere you can find a unique place.
YouTube?
Yes, sir. Yes, YouTube. Yeah, you want to say hi?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi. What's up, YouTube?
You're famous, guys.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
very famous.
Yeah.
Yes, very, very famous.
I like that flower. Flower, nice flower. Yeah. Very cool. I'm good. Thank you. I have this. All right. Good night. Yep. You can see people are friendly here in Bulgaria, and every country, every city is different. You're gonna meet different kinds of people, also visit lots of different places, museums, churches, cafes, galleries, concerts, you name it. There's so much stuff going on everywhere, and also every city is different in terms of how it's designed, its architecture, its parks and hiking and landmarks and all that stuff. There's so much to see and so much to do, and our life is our time is limited. It doesn't last forever, so I think it's definitely worth it to go and explore, and no matter what the cost is, just get out of your comfort zone, do a little bit of research, and try to plan everything. I do have a video. If you are in the United States, I have a video on how to prepare for living in the United States before traveling overseas for a long time. That video might be very helpful. There are a lot of different tips, specific tips of where you need to get your storage, how much it costs, how to move your stuff. Maybe you should have a roommate. Maybe it's better to ask your friends to help you out with your mail. Also about other things, everything, all those details are mentioned in that video, so I recommend checking that out. So I did talk a little bit about the cons, which means you have to really plan everything ahead of time and research. I talk a little bit about the pros, about meaning you have to really enjoy yourself, and it's so much fun, and there's so many things to see and explore, and it's just such a great experience when you are traveling. Let's see if there are any additional items that I have overlooked. Let me think. All right, so the other thing I wanted to mention is the cost. You might be wondering, is it more expensive to stay where you are, or is it more expensive to travel? And I have to tell you the truth, it depends on where you go travel, because some destinations, for example, Western Europe, France, and United Kingdom, London, those places, Switzerland, they are crazy expensive. Germany also, they are really, really expensive. So they are like some of the most expensive places you can find in the world. So if you go there, of course, you're gonna spend more money probably than you would if you were to stay where you are, unless you're already in one of those places. But the cost would be comparable to any high cost destination in the world. But if you are in a high cost area and you travel to a low cost area, for example, something like where I am right now, Bulgaria, Sofia. Also, this applies to a lot of other countries in Eastern Europe, Romania or Hungary or Poland, or even Central Europe, Czech Republic. They are a lot more affordable, and you can still have so much fun. There's still lots of stuff to see and things to do and places to visit, and it's very enjoyable, and everything costs a lot less. Then you can actually save a lot of money and enjoy it more without having to waste all your savings. And this means that even if you have a somewhat lower income from your remote work, you can still afford having a relatively comfortable life wherever you are, as long as it's a low-cost destination. If you are thinking about Asia, it can be Vietnam, it can be Thailand, it can be Philippines. Also, to a certain extent, you can live relatively affordably even in Taiwan or Korea, even in more developed countries, as long as you do a lot of research and find a good place, get a good deal. The food is not very expensive, public transportation is not very expensive, so depending on your lifestyle, you might have a pretty good experience living in almost any Asian country without spending too much. Of course, that does not apply to Singapore, that does not apply to Japan. Japan is pretty expensive. Also it does not apply to Hong Kong. Hong Kong is crazy expensive. So you do a little bit of research, and just because some place is more expensive does not make it better in any way. Just because something costs more, it does not mean it's better. That's what I learned over and over again, many times. Just because something is marketed and they spend more money on marketing, or just because it happened so Western Europe was in a democratic environment while Eastern Europe was in a communist environment, that does not mean that Eastern Europe has less beautiful buildings or anything like the food is worse. It does not mean that. So do a little bit of homework and research and try to find the country that is right for you. I recommend not choosing one country, but choosing a few, so that you can actually compare and see for yourself which ones you like the most. I don't think I have a favorite country for myself. I like to change destinations, change cities, change countries. And for me, the ideal pace would be maybe to stay in each city for like a month. So I would sign up for the gym, for the local gym, find out where all the best supermarkets are, and explore all the great places for hanging out, and also get some work done, and then research and move on to the next city. That would be the pace that I'm most comfortable with. But right now I'm moving at a slightly faster pace because I want to cover more different places. So I'm moving about every 2 weeks. But ideally I want to slow down, and hopefully I will at some point. Because if you are trying to get a lot of things done, I'm running multiple companies, you need more time in the office. And if you keep moving around and riding trams, it's harder to have that time. And that is another thing I wanted to mention. It's kind of, everything is going back to being organized, but time management and knowing how to manage your time and finding balance between work and entertainment and planning your future destinations. If you don't do any planning, you might end up in weird situations, having to pay extra for things, or having very limited options because you are deciding in the last moment, or just causing stressful situations. If all of a sudden you have to decide something important at work and also something important in your family business, and at the same time you have to book another flight, book another hotel, and choose what city you need to go to, and you didn't do the homework and you don't know, you have no idea, and you got to move out tomorrow morning, that might be pretty stressful. So planning things ahead of time is my best piece of advice. A couple of things that I wanted to mention that really suck about being a digital nomad, no matter which way you look at it, is having to change time zones. I try to stay on in a certain area for as long as I can without having to go back and forth, but going from Asia to Europe, from Europe to the United States, you have to keep changing time zones, and it's a little bit hard on the body because you have to stay up for a long time in order to reset your schedule, or your body is getting confused when it's time to sleep, when it's time to wake up. It takes a few days to adjust. And this part sucks, but if you don't change time zones too much, then I don't see that as a big deal. And generally going through flights, airports, I really don't like this process, but for that reason, I try to book trains as much as possible. Train travel is so much more comfortable and less stressful for me, even if it takes longer. I love taking trains. So every problem has a solution. If you think about it and you do a little bit of research, you can make your experience a lot more smooth. And I do want to wrap up this video by recommending the use of AI, as I was saying in the beginning, actually using ChatGPT or Gemini or any other service like that, and being very detailed, very specific when typing in your thoughts would help you get a very specific and thorough answer with some helpful recommendations on what to do next. And if you need more assistance, I'm also open to helping you with trip planning, life coaching, and business consulting, with all the details available at buymeacoffee.com/transitnomad or through the link in the video description below. And I also would like to let you know that at the end of my Bulgaria trip, I'm going to be recording my final verdict video comparing Bulgaria with other countries to help you decide if you should visit, while also saving you lots of time and money with practical tips on how to get the most out of your trip. This will be an exclusive video, but you can easily gain access to it by subscribing or donating any amount on buymeacoffee.com/transitnomad or through the link in the video description below. Thank you everyone for watching, commenting, liking, and subscribing. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye-bye.